Hey everyone, welcome back. Week 3 kicks off tomorrow, so it's that time of week again here on the channel. We are doing power rankings for the NFL. Week 2 in the books, and there were some changes and some outlook of some teams changing up. Some other teams, they lost, but I didn't hold it too much against them. We're still early in the season, still expecting some of these teams to turn around, be powerhouses. Other teams are really starting to show their true colors. Let me know what you guys think of my rankings through the first 2 weeks. We're going to start things off at the bottom, but before we do, don't forget to subscribe. We do these power rankings every Wednesday throughout the season. We do a recap of the playoff race right now in MLB. It is insane right now, the playoff race, so make sure you check that out every morning, come out with that. And of course, the playoffs for MLB are kicking started, NHL season around the corner. But let's jump into the power rankings. Number 32, I think they've lost like 20 games in a row. We got Jacksonville Jaguars. Not too much to say. We don't expect them to be a playoff team this season. Hopefully by the time the season starts getting going and new quarterback and the running back who's in his sophomore year start getting going, they'll be able to turn a corner and not be 32. That's probably the dream, is to start moving up into the 20s. But that's where we are at with Jacksonville. Number 31, not too far ahead of them. We still got the New York Jets. Both these guys battling last year for supremacy of the worst. Looks like so far this season, they're doing the same thing. Both kind of in the same rebuilding process, and they're both in the same kind of scenario. Number 30, with Goff blowing the Monday Nighter. They were up huge against Green Bay. Everyone thought this was going to be a shocker. They were making a storming comeback against San Francisco the first week. They've had 2 tough weeks. They might be a little bit higher than this, but right now, being last in the North, not expected to have any chance of the playoff. Number 30 for the Lions. Number 29, a little bit of question marks going in with Tyrod Taylor going into week 3. Will he make his start back? A little bit leaving the game. Not sure at this point, but the Texans, they are 1-1. Some people are still saying they have a shot at the division. Me, I just think they got a long ways to go to rebuild this team. So number 29, I think, is fair right now. Of course, 1-1, they have a shot. Going 2-1, they might make a big jump. Number 28, after getting demolished back-to-back weeks, really, and Tampa Bay really having their way with them. The defense at the end of the game scoring 14 points, a couple turnovers by the Falcons. They have a tough division. Playoffs are pretty much out of reach, and they're already 0-2. So for them to make it to the playoffs, going to be a tough stretch. I think they're definitely in that rebuild stage. Number 27, they actually have them moving up from last week, a couple of spots, and a lot of it had to do with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had a good game where he's running very well. 1 turnover gave his team a chance to win near the end of the game, but Washington managed to drive and win that game. A tight game, but they definitely showed some fight. They had a tough week against Denver in the week 1, but I like kind of what I saw from the Giants. Saquon Barkley obviously coming back from that injury, slowly but surely. I think he's going to have a bigger impact going forward. Number 26, tough loss. I got the Minnesota Vikings, and a lot of it has to do with their division. Getting off to the start and losing the game off a field goal missed. I know field goals have been an issue for the Vikings for who knows how long now, but already 0-2 in a competitive division. Just not liking where this is going. They're going to need a big breakout game in week 3 if they're going to step it forward. Number 25. The Philadelphia Eagles pretty much got put in their place after a pretty dominant week 1. They got put in their place in week 2. San Francisco really handled them, slowed down their offense, and made you question whether they are going to be able to be competitive in this division. They are a little bit higher up. Division, in my eyes, is one of the weaker in the NFL, so they definitely have a shot at making some noise come playoff time. So this might be the very low range of the Eagles. Number 24, the Cincinnati Bengals. A little bit dropped from last week. Last week they were number 20. They lost the game. And what else can you say? Mixon didn't really have the game he did last week. In week 1, he really stepped off. Bengals are in, again, a tough division. Very likely going to be last place in this division. So in the power rankings, chance of making the playoffs, making some noise. I put them there. They definitely beat the Vikings week 1, so a little bit ahead of them. Number 23, they're free falling down the standings last week. Number 15, and they got demolished by the Bills. Tua gets hurt in that game. A little bit of a flashback to what Tannehill happens to him when he used to be a Dolphins quarterback. And not looking promising for the Dolphins right now. They at least get to beat up on some of these teams below them, I think, in a close game. But we'll see if Tua can come back or if they're going to have to rely on Jacoby going forward. Number 22, the Chicago Bears. A little bit of a jump from last week. They were number 26 last week. And the Bears, they pick up a nice win over Cincinnati. Nice, close, hard-fought win for the Bears. Division-wise, they got some work to do, but they could very well do it. They have the Lions, who they can beat up on. Minnesota's been a little rough out of the gate, and Green Bay hasn't looked great. So look for Chicago to make some moves, whether they can bolster this team up or just Justin Fields carrying them on their back. Number 21, moving on up. The Patriots, they looked good going against the Jets. Well-coached, well-played football game. With the Dolphins, even though the Dolphins beat them week 1 with the Dolphins injury to Tua, I just see long-term Patriots are a little bit stronger than the Dolphins right now. Definitely with that showing against the Bills. Dolphins, who are supposed to probably be the number 1 threat to the Bills in the division. Now it's the Patriots, and even so, they're all in the bottom 2 rows, which works out good for the Bills. Next up, number 20, we have the Washington football team. It's actually a little bit of a drop for them. The quarterback that, I forget his name right now, but who played and came in and is essentially the practice squad guy, leading the helm now. He had a disastrous pick at the end of the game that almost cost them the game. It was a lot closer against the Giants, and even though they won, the teams behind them or a little bit ahead of them, I feel better about them going into week 3. So that's why I got number 20 for them. Number 19, we got the LA Chargers, who lost this week. Very close game, but they still lose. And Herbert having some issues with interceptions, at least for now. We'll see how that really bounces back. It's a tough division, tough. The AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs, all them. So they're going to have some struggles at the quarterback. I got to worry about them for the season. Number 18, we got the Denver Broncos. Last week, they were number 21, moving up only a couple of spots. They are 2-0, but they beat the Jaguars. Sorry, they beat the Jaguars this week on the road. They're going home this week again for a pretty good matchup, and wouldn't be surprised if they go 3-0. It's probably the number 1 pick in most survivor pools out there. 3-0, but again, they haven't met their division yet. They haven't met really top expected teams. So we'll see how they perform when that comes. Might be sleeping on them, but right now, Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos, number 18. Number 17, Carolina Panthers. Looking good. They really handled the Saints. They had a good game against the Jets. They're up by 2 scores late, and Jets brought it within 1, but never had a chance to really win that game. Panthers are looking good. Sam Darnold, first time in his career, starting 2-0. Still some concerns, of course. The division, they have the top Bucks, and they have the Saints, who they just handled. But that is an outlier potentially. We're going to see. It's been weird. We'll get to the Saints in a bit. But right now, 17, I got them kind of in the middle of their division fighting. They're fighting for that playoff spot. Number 16, they're 0-2, but I still have a lot of faith in this team. Big pivotal game this week against the Tennessee Titans. If they go 0-3, they're going to drop like a sack of potatoes because their playoff chances are pretty much done at that point. They put up a good fight against the Rams in week 1. Again, they were very close against a tough opponent. So, I don't know. I want to see how Wentz really bounces back from that game against the Rams. They need to fight Tennessee. This is the division. Tennessee's 2-1 and they're 0-3. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow coming up the rest of the year. Number 15, moving on up from number 22 last week. San Francisco. I'd punish them a little bit because they almost choked that lead against the Lions, but they really came out and handled the Eagles well with class, and their defense has been top-notch, except for that second half against the Lions, but I'm not going to wade too much into that kind of game. San Francisco, probably like last year, a lot of people sleeping on them, myself maybe included, but worried their division is super tough when it comes time for division games. How are they going to perform? Right now, I got the middle of the pack. We'll see. Number 14, I got the Saints. It's a little bit, pretty big drop. I had them in 7 last week, so watching them perform against Carolina, it's been like a tale of two stories. Against Green Bay, they were monster, big defense, and then against Carolina, they had no offense, no defense, and so I don't know really where to see them right now with Jameis Winston. Kind of on the fence about them. So number 14, right there, fighting for playoffs, potentially on the border of falling way down. We'll see what that's like. Number 13, 2-0 Raiders. What a week. Surprising the Steelers at home. Raiders Nation is pumped up. There's 2-0. Division's going to be tough. Chiefs, Chargers, and we got Broncos. All of them viable threats right now in the division to go for it. Raiders coming out strong, though. Got to be happy with how things are going. Upsetting the Ravens, upsetting the Steelers. They are 2-0 against the AFC North. Number 12, we got the Dallas Cowboys who beat the Chargers. In a close-knit game, but a lot of people were picking the Chargers in that game because they had been dealing with some COVID issues, Dallas was. And they came out and won a tight-fought game, and their defense didn't give up a lot of points. Herbert might have lost it, interceptions in there a couple times, but Dallas looking good going down the stretch. Number 11, Seahawks were super close to going 2-0, but fell apart down the stretch. Derrick Henry came to play down the stretch and just ran all over them. End up forcing overtime, and they lose basically off that. Seahawks, tough division ahead of them. I'm curious how they're going to bounce back from that fall apart there, which brings us to number 10, Tennessee. They were on the border of going 0-2, going into Indy, who would have also been 0-2, but they salvage it, coming back. I got a lot of hope for Tennessee. I think they're going to be a top contending team, so I'm going to keep them at number 10, even though week 1 they really struggled against the Cardinals, and they looked really rough against the Seahawks early in week 2, but they managed a good comeback. We'll see if they can carry that momentum forward into week 3. Number 9, Cleveland Browns. They pick up a nice win against Houston. 10-point win, expected to win, and they just take care of business there. Not else much there to say, but Baker Mayfield has not been anything to write about. A lot of concerns with that. Then with the top teams, how they're going to be fighting in the fourth. So fighting those top teams. I think Baker Mayfield's questionable. Last I saw that this morning. We'll see what comes from that. Which brings us to number 8. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had a tough, well-fought game against those Raiders, who have been surprising everyone. They looked good against the Bills, and a little bit of the Bills smashing the Dolphins. I give credit to. My concern now is starting to be Roethlisberger, and I know a lot of people are going to say that, but it's starting to be a little relative concern, and I don't right now see them winning the division, and I feel like the Browns then, when they play, could go either way. So number 8 for that, but I do think one of these two teams is making the playoffs for sure. Number 7. Green Bay Packers. I had them 8 last week, so I moved them up 1, and I think there's going to be some momentum coming from that Monday nighter against the Lions. They really came back from that and piled on the points. Roger that finding a little bit of his groove, and I think they're going to carry it forward. Rodgers is a veteran. You got a lot of faith in that team, and they showed it on Monday. We'll see if they can go 2-1. I think they'll be respectable again. But that first week against the Saints is a little bit question mark, but again, I'm not putting too much weight into 1 week right now. More of kind of how I feel about the teams and that. So number 6, we have the Baltimore Ravens. It's hard to deny them. I've dropped them to 10 after the way they lost to the Raiders, but now I've got to give the Raiders a little bit more credit, which means the loss doesn't weigh as much, and they upset the Chiefs, who we'll get to in a second. They were at home. They might have stole that game away with the fumble right at the end. I don't know. I think Mahomes was marching down that field. It's a big win, though, for them, and they look good. Lamar, he just shows the kind of athlete. Every time I think that guy might be a little bit underrated, he just plays the game like he did on Sunday night and just runs and just changes up defenses and all that. So I think on any given night, they have a chance to beat any given team. Whether it can consistently win enough to win a Super Bowl, I'm not there yet. But, of course, I can be convinced. Number 5. What a bounce back. What a bounce back for the Bills. They just crushed The Dolphins, they went up from 6-5, back to giving them a little more credit. I think they're pretty much a shoo-in to win the division. I think a lot of people would agree with that. And so that already gives them a little bit of a boost. Of whether they take a first-round bye, I think that's up for debate. But I think they have a shot, which will put them in a good chance to be top 4. So right now, on the border of that, give them the second best team in the AFC right now. Number 4, Kyler Murray and company. Get it done. What a comeback they had against the Vikings. What a game that one was. Kyler Murray 2-0, and that offense is showing good signs, and in week 1 their defense was good. Again, I'm still a little bit questionable what the Vikings are all about. Their offense does have that spurts, and so I'm not holding too much against that. And until the Cardinals lose, I think this division is best in the NFL right now. Number 3, dropping 1 spot, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, I touched on it with Baltimore. I think the Chiefs would have won that game if it wasn't for that fumble. Unfortunately, woulda, coulda, shouldas. They drop a spot. I still give them a little bit of an edge, but all it takes is a 2-2 start, 3-2 start, and they're gonna start being down here. There's a lot of question marks around that defense. Of course, the offense, we know what we're getting with that. They're unbelievable. Tyreek Hill was shut down. Did teams pick up on what that was about with Baltimore? Be interesting how that goes forward. But for now, we're leaving number 2 to the Rams, who had a nice sandwich game against the Colts on the road, coming from home to Indianapolis, now back to play the number 1 team, Tampa Bay. These guys are battling this week. So I thought it makes sense. These teams look to be the best right now in the NFL, in my opinion. Both offenses have just been clicking. The defenses are both made big, impactful plays. And we'll see who's the true number 1 when they play this week. Let me know what you guys think. Where am I out to lunch? Maybe I missed some key points on some of these teams. Make sure you drop that in the comment. Otherwise, just subscribe to the channel. We do these videos, these kind of videos all season long, and we hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. Peace out.